pastime. It had its day, but I'm kind of done with that. I know I can fly a plane. It is fun. And if it wasn't quite so expensive, then maybe it would be worth it again. Back when I was learning to fly, it was about $100 an hour. So 100, 125. Depends if you had the instructor in the plane with you or not. Because I'd gotten to the point where I didn't have to have an instructor all the time. I could fly solo, but I had to... It would be alternate weeks. I would have the instructor in, we'd do stuff, whether it was flying to another airfield or aerial, ground aerial maneuvers, so, precision flying. And then once I'd done a thing, the following week I could go out and perform the same thing again on my own. And if it was precision flying, I could go out every week and say, I don't need the instructor this week. I'm just going to be flying out over the practice zone and orbiting water towers or whatever. But it was just getting the practice in. So $100 to $125 an hour, I think. And that included fuel. But these days you're talking way more than that. Probably about $200, $250 an hour. Just for a small, no-frills aeroplane. Of course, the other thing, flying in England, it also wasn't that expensive because the weather's so bad over there. You probably only flew 2 out of 4 weeks in a month. California, you flew pretty much every week, which was nice. My skills improved way quicker flying out of California than it did in England. In fact, it took a 2-week gap between clients one time where instead of flying on Saturdays, I would fly 5 days a week, which was much easier because there's nobody else around during the weekdays. There were still instructors available, so I could book a lesson every day, Monday to Friday. And even then, I only got 8 lessons in that 2 weeks because of bad weather, one day each week. But flying pretty much 2 weeks constantly at an hour and a half a time, my skills seriously improved. And when I took a week off when I got my next contract and flew the following Saturday, my regular instructor wasn't available that Saturday, so I had a different guy. And he'd seen, I'd done however many hours I'd done. But he was assuming I'd done all of those hours, 1 hour per week, at a weekend. And we got in the plane and started the lesson, and he's like, wow, you're actually quite good. And I said, I had 8 lessons in the last 2 weeks. He's like, oh, well, that would explain it. Because the problem is when you're flying 1 hour per week, you learn new stuff. And when you come back to the next week, you haven't practiced the new stuff, you've just learnt it. And now you need to practice doing it. but you've forgotten half of it already. So you have to, it takes a long time to get that skill at a proficient enough level. If you're flying every day, then you learn a thing on Monday, you put it into practice on Tuesday and Wednesday, and you're pretty good at it because you haven't had enough time to forget what you were doing. So if you do go and learn to fly, I would suggest take a couple of weeks off work and go and learn how to fly, because you will spend far less time in the cockpit doing the basic stuff because you didn't forget it. And especially in England, it's like, the last time I flew a plane was 2 weeks ago, and I know we learnt some things, but I haven't been able to practice any of it for 2 weeks, so it's kind of, I'm a little bit rough on what all I need to do. Ooh, that one there. But yeah, there we go. Driving trains. I would like to. There are a lot of heritage railway lines in England which run old steam, old diesel from diesels from 1970s and earlier, steam from 1950s and earlier. And they do sort of driver familiarization classes where they have 2, 4, 6 people come down, whatever it is, and you learn how to drive a train, you learn how to fire the train, you learn how to so you take it in turns up and down the line, driving, firing, or just riding as a passenger. I would love to have been able to do that. It's quite a bit expensive, but back when I was in England, they didn't do those sorts of things. It's not that I was aware of. The only thing I did get to do was my dad and I went and did a Formula Ford driving experience at Brands Hatch, which was fun. But they're kind of a day out. They'll feed you breakfast. They'll talk to you about what you're going to be doing for the rest of the day. They let you loose with an instructor in a BMW, and you drive around the race circuit, getting used to it, and then once that's clear, you go back in, you have lunch, and then everyone gets a chance to go out in a Formula Ford car and tear up the track for four laps. And you're restricted. They'll tell you can't go over third gear and 60 miles an hour or whatever it is. But still a lot of fun. And then you get back to the meeting room, and they hand out certificates, and everyone gets to go home, take a picture with the car, all those sorts of things. And it's a fun day out. And my mum paid for my dad and I to do it 1 year. So there are those sorts of things available. But these days, you can also learn to drive a steam train or learn to drive a diesel train. It's not much in the way of electric trains. The problem generally with electric trains is most of the heritage lines do not have electrical equipment, overhead electrical equipment, or third rail electrical equipment, because electricity and the general public is usually a hazard. I don't know of any heritage lines that run electric. And I don't believe they do, purely for the safety reasons, because heritage railways are maintained by volunteers. So you've got people can lay tracks and service locomotives. They usually have some skill in what they're doing anyway. So it's not like, old Bob who runs a grocery store, as his main job, he's out replacing boilers on a steam locomotive. It's usually somebody who knows what they're doing and probably did it, well, these days less so, but in the past it was someone who actually did it in real life in the 1950s and 1960s, before all the steam locomotives were retired. But they don't lay track to precision, so the heritage lines are all maximum speed 25 miles an hour. Okay, should I start the headland now? Could do. Let's put that down there. So there's lots and lots of things you can do for fun, but they're not exactly cheap. So a lot of them, like the driving experience, it's the sort of thing you do as a birthday gift for somebody. Or we're going to do this on our vacation because it sounds like fun. So I think a friend of mine from way back when, she paid for her husband to drive a train. And they went on vacation to Devon. Middle of the week was his experience, but they could do the holiday, vacation, touristy thing for the rest of the week. But state of England, there's probably zero chance I'm ever going to get back to the country there. Not the way the government's playing at the moment. And even, the problem is the two big parties in England, Conservatives and Labour, they flip-flop back between them, but they've destroyed the country between them. And people were so angry with the Conservatives at the last election that the Conservatives just got decimated. They lost everything. And because there's only two main parties, it's kind of like America. You can either vote Republican or you can vote Democrat. Well, I could vote independent. Yes, you could. But the Republicans and the Democrats are going to win. And so, that's kind of what happened in England. It's like everybody who is a staunch Conservative just said, ain't playing with these party people anymore. They've destroyed the country. I'm not going to vote for them. And so Labour just walked through the elections and won loads of seats. And the Conservatives said yes, because we're not defending our party anymore. Our party is not representing us. And everybody who votes Labour, you're gonna have to live with your decision. And oh my goodness, Labour took what the Conservatives have been doing for the last 12, 16 years and put their foot to the floor and did it in overdrive. So now everybody's pissed off with Labour and, well, you've got to live with your decision for the next 2 years because there's not going to be a general election for a long time now. And then when the next general election comes around, nobody's going to vote Labour. And I think Labour knows it. I'm not even sure that anybody's even going to consider voting Conservative, which who knows what's going to happen. Parliament's going to be a mess. But potentially, as a mess, it might work. And I say that because no one party will have absolute control. So all of the representatives will have to negotiate deals to get anything done, which might actually be a good thing, might be a horrendous thing. But you think about it, most of Europe is not a two-party system. Britain technically is not a two-party system, but they kind of are. But when you don't have a two-party system, there's all sorts of collaborations. That's not really the right word, but parties collaborating with each other to get legislation passed. There's a little line there that I didn't get. I won't have to worry about that. So there's a little strip just there. And there's another one at the end there that I did not do anything about. That's fine. I mean, this bit here, I'm just going to drive through it loosely. Because for the most part, I have done... I've come out further than I needed to when turning around. And I didn't lift the hoe off the ground make it happen. What's the time? It is game time, coming up on midday. So things are definitely moving along. We only have this contract to do. The tractor is going to need to be refueled when we get back to the farm. It does need some maintenance, and I'm pretty sure it needs a service. I think the service is going to be quite pricey. So if I can... actually, I was going to say if I could save off doing that. But it's May 2. There's 2 more days of May, obviously. But if no contracts come up, I don't have any major work to do. The cows will eat through some food. But for the most part, the farm is stable. With the horses. But once I'm done here, if there are no contracts, we can just move along to June. Now in June, I've got, I think it's about 160,000 litres of soybeans at the train yard ready to sell, so I may be releasing those, and that will make me a ton of money. What is a Fentigo? Is that the telehandler? Could be. I do like the Fent telehandler because it's It's got the telescopic cab too. No, this is all the wrong buttons. Stop pressing the wrong buttons. Press the right buttons. There we go. No, it's a big truck. Oh, actually, it's a big loading wagon, forage wagon, which I don't actually need. There's this thing for sale, but that's way too, even at half price. That it would be nice to get one of those, but I don't even have that much money tied up in my own harvester, which is the S7. So I couldn't afford an X9 if I wanted to. It would be nice. I mean, looking at it, the tank's 16,000 litres. It's not much bigger than the tank that mine has, and mine's nice proportions. 2 loads from the harvester will give me almost full auger cart, grain cart, and then it takes about 2 to 3 grain carts to fill up the truck. So yeah, we've actually got quite a good sort of proportion thing going on there. And switch over to this row now. But if I got a bigger harvester, I'd probably need a bigger grain cart, auger bin. And then I would need a bigger truck. And I think the truck I have is about as big as it'll get. But I like to play the proportions so it's not, I can get 2.5 auger wagons filled up. And you tend to only want to fill it up. 2 full loads is just off a full cart. But I can be emptying the cart while the harvester continues. If there's a half a cart or half harvester left, space in the cart, that becomes difficult because it's like, do I wait for the harvester to fill up and then unload half of it? Which is still, it's going to be it's okay, but you might not have enough time to run and empty something before you have to unload it again. But anyway, this should be, this is the last row. We will be done at the end of this. I will fill up the gas or the diesel tank on the tractor. And I still want a tractor that's about 200 horsepower. This is a big tractor. This is 302 horsepower on a 180 horsepower implement. So I don't have problems pulling it around, but the servicing on this tractor is quite expensive and refueling it is quite expensive. Having a smaller tractor makes these jobs less expensive for fuel and maintenance. I've spoken to that in the past, Oh, nice mod this week. Must have been yesterday. Someone's released a mod for the Valtra G, which I like the Valtra G. The N is a good tractor. I believe it's 140-ish horsepower to 205. it's a small or short wheelbase. You can run all of the tyres, wide, narrows, weights, I think twins. You can put a front loader on it. It has reverse drive on it, which may or may not be a desire. But if you have a basic farm that I can only really afford to run one tractor, the Valtra N is an incredible option for a starter tractor. Now also, I believe it's the Arian 600 replaced the Valtra N in Farm Sim 22 as an alternate. We did eventually get the Valtra N back when Valtra Real World people introduced their new 2023 range of tractors. But they have all of the things. A lot of the smaller tractors, you can't put wide tyres on them. Or, some of them don't even support narrow tyres. So if I'm going to have a tractor, if I'm doing everything, I've got to go out into the field and fertilise, I'm going to need narrow tyres. If I want to go out and plough and plant, I'm going to need wider tyres. Having access to 200 horsepower means you can probably deal with most farm equipment on that. So it's all, it's all in one package. I don't have to go out and buy 3 different tractors, one for ploughing, one for harvesting, haulage, one for whatever. So it's a multi-role tractor. The Valtra G isn't quite up to that level. I think it's a maximum 145, but it's a good companion. If you consider something like